It's time for Windows Weekly. Paul Thurrott and Mary Jo Foley are here. There is, as always, lots to talk about. A fork in the road for Windows 11 insiders. What would Mary Jo Foley do? There's a price hike coming for Microsoft 365 for Business. And we've got a date for Halo Infinite Delay. It's all coming up on Windows Weekly.
Podcasts you love.
From people you trust. This is Twit.
This is Windows Weekly with Paul Thurrott and Mary Jo Foley, episode 739, recorded Wednesday, August 25th, 2021. Panos Paint. This episode of Windows Weekly is brought to you by Udacity. Gain in-demand tech skills in as little as 3 months with Udacity's part-time online tech courses. Visit udacity.com/twit and get 75% off any program with the code TWIT75. Limited time offer. And by PlexTrack, the powerful yet simple security management platform that helps you get the real cybersecurity work done. With PlexTrack, you'll streamline your assessments, analytics, and reporting. Visit plextrack.com/twit and claim your free month. It's time for Windows Weekly, the show where we cover the latest news from Microsoft. And our Microsofties are in the house, back from his sojourn in the land down under. Paul Thurrott, Thurrott.com. He comes from the land of thunder and the man down under, where the tech
the land of enchilada.
Enchilada, yes.
Oh, yeah.
It's good to have you back, I have to say.
Yeah,
but I loved all your pictures on Instagram and just really was enjoying all of that.
Yeah, thank you.
Lisa kept saying things like, why aren't Paul and Stephanie 1,000 pounds?
Right.
know.
Actually,
All
I
that
lost
food.
weight on this trip.
Really?
Did you?
Yeah.
Oh, that food looks so good.
I only know that because I had to put my jeans on when we were flying home, and I was like,
Oh, they fit even better. That's Mary Jo Foley from ZDNet. All about Microsoft.com is her ZDNet blog. It's good to have you too. Is it a little cooler in the Big Apple?
No.
No, it is not.
No.
Yeah.
Oh, better than a couple days ago, but not great. It's like 99 or so. And yeah.
This has been the hottest summer, of all time.
If it were winter, it would be very hot.
It would be very odd.
Very, very hot.
Yeah, it has been really hot. Ooh,
It's been hot.
killer.
I feel like I'm in the bayou every day. We walk the dog in the morning, and it's like, oh, God. You just have to stand there and get acclimated to the curtain
I know,
of heat.
right?
In the bayou. We're down in the Gulf.
That's what it feels
You know what else is hot? Microsoft 365.
Good and
It's
bad.
hot, all right.
It's more expensive. How much
It's gonna
more?
be
How much
March
more?
1st.
Yeah.
So March 1st next year. The prices are, you can't say a certain percentage across the board. They're going up all different amounts. Like the low-level business basic plan is going up $1 per user per month. But then Office 365 E5 is going up $3 and Microsoft 365 E3, $4. So at first you're like, oh, it's $4, big deal. But then you're like, wait, $4 per user per month. So
That's not cheap.
$48 more per every user in your org who is subscribed.
That's actually a pretty big jump.
Yeah.
They said it's their first substantive price increase in the decade since they introduced Office 365. Not the very first price increase.
I was going to say, how do you feel about that claim? Right?
I know. I went at them. I'm like, what do you mean by that? Like, so I know you've had other price increases, and they're like, this is the one that we're feeling like it's substantive. But you know what? We haven't raised the price in a huge way in that decade, and we've added a lot of new apps and a lot of new features, and we always
They've
kept the
added
price the same.
a lot of more expensive new SKUs as well, though. And that's
They
one
have.
way of raising prices without making it seem like
It
you're
is.
raising prices.
Exactly. The one thing that did not get a price increase, well, the main thing that I was surprised about was Microsoft 365 E5, which is their most expensive SKU right now. It's $57 per user per month. They're not increasing that one because they want more people to consider that as an option. So if you make the one right below it more expensive, this looks like a somewhat better deal. And so they're trying to get more people to go to E5. That was a push, a pushing gesture.
Nice push.
Go to E5, everyone. Yeah. So I don't know. I'm of mixed mind about this price increase. I'm like, okay, you have added a lot of things and not increased the price. Like Teams is a good example. When they added Teams, they didn't increase the price of the SKUs. They just said you're just going to keep paying what you paid and get Teams as an add-in, right? So they've got a point.
They have definitely added value. I think the problem for Microsoft is probably going to be related to competition from Google or whomever else, where it's, when cloud productivity services like this are a no-brainer, you don't really talk about the price too much. But as the price creeps up, you start thinking about, well, okay, are there other things we could do? Do the new features that they add over time deliver enough value to justify the cost of the ongoing subscription, right? I mean, to date, I think you could argue that it has.
Yeah. I mean, it depends what you use, right? Like if you're somebody who uses all these new features, Planner, Yammer, Teams, who uses Yammer? I know. Visio, the new Visio lightweight app that's coming this month. It's going to look like a better deal than if you're somebody who just uses Word, Excel, and PowerPoint, right?
And sorry, Leah.
The pricing of Google Workspace, and you get all of the kind of similar stuff, is $12 per user per month.
Mm-hmm.
Is it really 12 now? That's
So I suspect this has something to do with kind of keeping up with the Goog.
They are. They said that. They said in some of these cases we're raising prices so it is comparable to the competition.
Yeah.
Right.
And in other cases, we're just saying, you know what, buck up, people.
Zoho Office, $6 per user per month, but I think you could probably argue that it's not.
Right.
Is popular.
Of course.
This
so
isn't
many
going to drive
people chimed in.
LibreOffice adoption, right?
Yeah, I was just going to say that. LibreOffice people were all in Twitter like, see, this is an example of why I should go. I'm like, guys, it's not the same thing. Like, these SKUs aren't the same as what you're talking about. The old Office SKU is what you're talking about, but this is a whole bunch of other stuff added on.
Well, you could do everything that Microsoft offers for free in open source. It's just you're cobbling things together.
Exactly.
Except for one thing, right, which is the storage stuff, right? So 1 terabyte
you can't do that,
per user is a big chunk of the cost. I mean, if you wanted to pay for that at Google just as a standalone offering per user, it starts to get more expensive. But it's, I don't know. It is fair to say they haven't raised the price across the board in perhaps forever, I guess is what they're saying.
Yeah.
Since the initial Office 365 release.
They threw in a little sweet to try to dampen some of the pain.
Really little. Really little.
No, but a lot of people were interested in this. So they're going to add to these SKUs unlimited dial-in capability for Teams meetings. So that sounds like nothing, right? You're like, hey, don't we already have that? So this is like what I do in a lot of Teams meetings. I use a phone to dial in, so I don't have to use the internet and the app. I just use a phone number and they give it to me.
Right.
So it's like almost like a conferencing bridge, right? So a lot of people want this. And right now they charge extra for this. So they're going to add this to all of the paid SKUs for no additional cost over the coming months. I think that's kind of a nice little sweetener to the pain, but it's not huge, but it's something that I think a lot of people would want.
Would you describe it as a spoonful of medicine?
Yeah, a spoonful of sugar to help your medicine go down.
Yes.
Yeah.
Exactly. Exactly. Right. Yep.
Well, that's wonderful.
Yeah.
Can't tell you how wonderful that makes me feel.
No, I'm the one who always is dialing in. I am. I get sick of being on the Zoom or Teams calls all the time and like having to go through the internet and be on camera or decide not to and answer a million questions while you're not on camera, right? And then if I could just dial in with a phone, I'm like, yes, that's what I want to do.
Yeah, because then you don't have to answer any questions, right?
You don't. You're just like on the phone. It's fine.
Yeah. I can't see you, and I know I can't see you because I'm not supposed to see you.
Because you're on a phone.
I'll try this at work. I'll let you know how that goes.
See what people think of that. Yeah.
I'm at the gym now. Sorry, I'm on the phone.
You know who hates it is anybody who got all dressed up and put on makeup to be on camera.
Exactly.
And spent all that energy. And then you, lazy bum.
Yep. That's me, lazy bum, right here.
I get all dressed up once a week, and that's for Windows Weekly, and that's it.
That's pretty much it. Yeah.
All right. So we get.
yeah.
I can. I understand why a business is going to go with this, and it's not going to be too sensitive to the price.
We should mention that too. This is for businesses only.
Yeah.
Right.
This
the home is the home the same?
No.
Home is the same.
That's good.
Home brand, the home. What's it called? Family,
personal or whatever. Yeah.
Are not being are getting
and education. And education is staying the same in their pricing.
Oh,
for now.
Well, then I don't care.
Yeah.
Well, I'm sure the hope here is that education will be going back to in person, and they won't be killing the infrastructure anymore. And by the way, speaking of infrastructure, I have a feeling that's what we're all paying for is all the work that Microsoft did
that's a good
last year,
point. Yeah.
right, to shore up their infrastructure to make sure the world didn't.
So they should call it special COVID pricing.
There you go.
Just for you.
Has a nice ring to it.
Yeah. Special. Special. All right. Well, there we go. I know I saw a lot of press about that. And, any change, people are going to get upset. That's just the way life is.
They're giving you a 6 months or so heads up. No, more, right?
Yeah.
More than 6 months.
And,
roughly 6 months, yeah.
And I think businesses use Microsoft Office for a good reason, and they were willing to pay for that, I'm sure.
Yep.
Let's see. PowerApps portal. Whoops. There's a whoopsies.
This one's interesting because Microsoft's default configuration for PowerApps portals, which are web apps, is insecure. So, and I don't mean to say this is funny, but it's interesting to me that organizations as big as American Airlines and Ford, governments, the Maryland Department of Health, New York City Municipal Transportation Authority, New York City Public Schools, all created web apps using this technology and collectively exposed the data from over 30 million users.
So it wasn't Microsoft's data, it was the data of the users.
Yeah, it was Microsoft's fault. I think we can all agree. But they were alerted to this by a security researcher. And they made a change. Now, this only impacts new Power Apps, and so they've contacted these organizations, and I assume most of them have reconfigured them to be secure.
So there is a setting you could use to. Is it as simple as HTTPS? Is it that kind of secure?
I don't know. I hope not.
No, wasn't it? It's something to do with OData, isn't it? I thought I read.
So is it insecure databases sitting on the public internet?
Yeah, it's a database was exposed. The customer database for these apps was Now the good news is no one has known to have been compromised. And they have fixed it. And actually, Microsoft, I should say too, if you're using PowerApps portals in particular, Microsoft has released a tool so that if you're already using it, you can test your portal settings and find out if you are taking advantage of this unique feature, which probably made it a little faster. I don't know. But yeah. Oh,
wow. Wow. Huh.
No code's the future, everybody. No code.
It is. Don't forget.
Yeah. No code means you don't know what the hell you're doing. And if the provider don't do it right, you're out of luck.
Also, I mean, no code's kind of an oxymoron, right? There's no such thing as no code. It's low code. And
it is.
If it's written by, what are we calling them? Citizen programmers?
Developers.
Citizen developers.
Yes.
May not be very good code. So.
So the data was exposed. When enabling APIs, the platform defaulted to making the corresponding data publicly accessible, and you had to.
This is like
that's the default
all over again.
Yeah, so you have to manually turn on privacy settings because the default's insecure. I get it. Okay, well that's silly, but
just a bad configuration choice on Microsoft's part.
Yeah, because people use the default. Everybody goes to the default.
Yep.
Just
especially when you don't know what you're doing because you're a citizen.
Right, because you're no code. Hey, I didn't need to do any code. Boo boo.
Yeah.
All right, getting ready for Ignite Part 2.
Is this Part 2 or is this Part 3?
See, that's the thing. What do you call it? We had an Ignite 2020. We had a second one called it Ignite 2021. Now we're having another one in 2021. So they're kind of pulling a Surface Pro 5 here. It's just called Ignite.
Oh, yeah. Just take the numbers off.
Yeah.
Why call attention?
But then we don't know. Well, we don't know if there's a spring part 2 to this one or not. And my guess is they don't know either, because I bet they're waiting to see what happens with COVID, right? And then decide.
Do you think
I see.
Virtual
last
or
year's
not.
first event was in September, right? I think.
Yeah.
Is that right?
I think so.
So-
yeah.
So this really should
Do you
be
think-
one of
Well, I'm
2022.
wondering if they didn't put I wonder if they didn't push it back to November in the hope that maybe we'll be able to do a hybrid event, And of course that I don't know if you know what's going on in the news, but that's not working out at all.
Ain't gonna happen.
I didn't know. No, I didn't know.
So yeah, that didn't happen. Wow.
No, my guess why they put it in November, and this could be completely wrong, is the week after that is when .NET 6 gets announced, so they could make it like a hybrid developer IT Pro kind of thing that goes over 2 weeks.
Interesting.
Or is when is AWS reInvent, and did that get canceled? Because they also could be pitting it against that, right?
Okay.
It is late November, early December.
Wow.
So they
During
could have
the
moved. That's
Thanksgiving
why
break.
they also could have. That also could be why they moved it to be November, because they
little closer.
consider that show to compete with reInvent, right?
I can't
There's
wait
a lot
to
of
hear about
reasons.
Amazon's Office Productivity Suite. I'm fascinated by the success they've had with messaging and whatnot. So that should be good.
Yeah, it should be fun. Yeah.
Okay.
So anyway, it's totally virtual. We don't know the agenda yet because it hasn't been published yet.
Right.
November 2nd to 4th. Yeah. We'll see.
And Ignite, refresh my memory, is a developer conference?
No, it's the IT Pro.
It's
show.
IT
Pros.
guys. Okay.
Yeah.
It has some developer content for sure,
It does. Yeah.
but Build is their
Build
typical
is developer.
event.
All right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's news about Microsoft Teams for Education. Here with that news, Mary Jo Foley.
Wrong.
Here with that news, our correspondent from Mexico, Paul Thurrott.
Yeah, I needed this in Mexico, but for Spanish. This is they've rolled out a new app. I guess we're calling these features apps now, right? So it's a Microsoft
Yeah, I
Teams
guess.
app, right, for Microsoft Education. It's for students and educators. And it's a way to help students, right? Many of whom are probably a little bit shy and don't want to stand up in front of people and speak, learn how to speak better, if that makes sense, as he says it terribly. Speak like me, I'm smart. So it allows them to record them speaking in a comfortable environment, and then you submit it to the teacher virtually, and they can, of course, can grade this at any point. They don't have to be sitting in a classroom.
That's neat.
So it's just a nice
Yeah.
thing for
Yeah, that's really
education
cool.
customers.
Yeah.
Fucker.
And here's a surprise.
Yeah.
Who wants to
Yeah.
take this one?
I want Paul to say what he thinks about
Explain
this,
to me.
because go
Yeah.
for this.
Microsoft is ending
Right.
support for Android apps on Chrome OS.
Right. Now, there's a couple of weird things going on here. So one is
Yeah.
that if you think about the way it works today, there is a complexity to having two different versions of everything on Chrome OS, right? There are the web apps like Outlook.com and then Office or Word for Web or Excel for Web or whatever. And then they have the Android apps. There's also that kind of licensing issue. If you're a Microsoft 365 customer, they have that screen size thing, right? Where
All right.
if it's a small, I think it's like 8 inches or smaller, whatever the figure is, these things, you get all the features for free. But if the screen is bigger than that, which it would be on almost, I would say actually every single Chrome OS device, Chromebook, certainly, you're supposed to have a paid Microsoft 365 subscription. So there's that aspect to it. These things are not supersets of each other, right? So the web versions of these apps have some features that the mobile apps don't have, and vice versa. And so depending on your needs, you might choose one or the other. You might choose the Word Android app, but the Excel web app, or it gets really confusing. So what they're going to do is end the confusion in a strange way by killing one of those things. They're not going to allow users on Chrome OS devices, including Chromebooks, to install and use the Android versions of the Office apps, including Outlook, Word, Excel, PowerPoint, et cetera, et cetera. They're going to force them essentially to use the web apps. Now, there's some problems there. The web apps, in some ways, are not as sophisticated. One of the things they don't do is support offline use, for example, which the native Android apps do. Now, the hope is that over time, these apps get more sophisticated. There have been some rumblings about PWA support, which could include offline support, et cetera. We know that there's a new version of Outlook, the One Outlook client coming. The web interfaces would be part of that. So just because it was so complex, I sort of support this in a general way, but that assumes that they improve the web apps so that some of those missing features are available.
But the Android apps, the Office Android apps don't go away in general. Like on other platforms, they continue to exist, right?
Yeah, right.
Right.
Yeah, right.
You know what I mean? So they're still supporting 2 versions. They just aren't doing it on Chromebooks, right?
Yes, and you have to wonder what was the impetus for this, right? And I don't think it was technical. I think it was licensing related. And it's possible, a Chrome OS device kind of publishes information about the system to Android apps, so it seems like an Android system, and maybe it's harder to prove the size of the display. Although I would argue if you're running on Chrome OS, it's a licensable moment, as I call it, and you would have to pay for Microsoft 365 to get all the functionality, including the ability to write, create documents and save them. So I don't know. I mean, we'll see. This just happened. I just found out about this today. It's not like Microsoft came out with a big post about it. People have just been noticing on Chromebooks when they go to the apps, it actually throws up a dialog saying, "Hey, by the way, this is going away."
I think it kind of makes sense. I think it's almost like saying, we want to give you one experience and the best experience. I mean, are the apps in any respect better than the web apps?
Yes, I think they are. But see, that's the problem. If you could create a matrix of features, and sometimes the web app will be better, and sometimes the mobile app will be better.
I mean, really, a Chromebook is about using Chrome to access web apps.
Right.
Yeah.
But of course, it was Google that said we're going to put the Android store on here, and
But that's kind of like a last mile thing to me. I feel like the Android app should be a fallback when there is no native web app, because the native web apps will be designed for those big screens and that kind of thing.
Yeah. So I can see they might have said internally, well, we want them to have the best experience. And it's confusing to have 2 different versions on a Chromebook. Right. So let's just say this is the Chromebook version, is the web app.
There's nothing that Microsoft has published, to my knowledge, that explains the why of this. I can only speculate. But
you know what I wonder about the why? You know how Microsoft and Google's handshake contract has expired now, and it's kind of a war again between these 2?
Could be.
This could be like, hey, guys, right? We want you to do this. Could be. Also, Captain Jack in the Discord says, wasn't Microsoft trying to get Office to be an Electron PWA at some point so everything's cross-platform? We heard that a long time ago, and we've heard nothing about that since.
That's not a good choice. That's not a performant choice. I don't think they.
We don't even know what they're doing there with the future.
When they have other choices,
I don't feel like
they have other cross-platform.
There is some interesting. Remember when Microsoft updated the extensibility features in Office? I want to say maybe 2 years ago, somewhere within 2 years, certainly. The new the technology they're now using for that is all web-based, right? And part of the rationale for that is, say you had let's make up something stupid, like a spell checking, plugin or something for Microsoft Word. You could now create one extension that would work in Word on Windows, on the Mac, and on the web, right? Because it's a web-based technology. That doesn't mean they're going to redo the entire apps as web apps, although obviously there are web versions. But I do feel like doesn't it kind of seem like for desktop that the world is drifting toward the web? It's moving slowly, but it seems like this is the natural direction.
I know. Like, the combined Office app that's Word, just basic features, Word, Excel, PowerPoint. I use that much more than I use any of the individual discrete apps. But my needs are very simple, too. But I love that app. I love the combined one. So.
I've been experimenting with web browsers, as Leo knows, and I have a new recommendation.
Oh, crap.
But I'm just kidding. One of the things I've been looking at, and this would benefit Chrome users, and I've been using this I don't use this full time, but I do use it, is there's an Office extension for Chrome and other Chromium browsers that puts a little Office icon up in the toolbar, and it gives you quick links to all the main apps on the web, but it also gives you that recent list, right, with your recent documents. And it's one of the problems with Chromebook, if you're in the Microsoft ecosystem, is you don't have any way to sync OneDrive to the file system. There is a way to access OneDrive from the file system, but it's just an online view. And, this, I feel like, and we've talked about this sometimes, Microsoft is putting a recent documents view in a lot of different things. That Office app is one example. But I think for a lot of people, that's what they need. I want to see the last 5 documents I was working on because I want to edit one of those documents, and there it is. And I don't have to worry about file systems and, native apps and stuff like that. You can just, you can just do it right from the browser.
Yeah, it makes a lot of sense.
It does.
Yeah.
Breaking news. May I add some breaking news?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Halo Infinite is launching December 8th. Do I even know what Halo Infinite is? No.
Well, hold on a second.
we are.
Okay, we got to stop the show. We got to rework the whole show. This is huge.
It's official. It's
All right,
official.
I didn't want to do this publicly, but I really don't like it when you step on the video game stuff. Okay, so that date had leaked, and I bet Microsoft is deciding,
confirming finally, right?
Yeah, we got to go. We got to go public.
Good.
So that my joke on Twitter about that was last year they delayed it a year. It was going to launch in November with the new consoles, but now it's not launched until December. So it was actually delayed 13 months. And I got more bad news for Halo Infinite later in the show.
Okay.
Nice.
But
Can't wait.
Yeah.
It's going to be so good, so it'll be worth the wait.
Mary Jo, the good news is you'll get it free as part of your Xbox Game Pass subscription, which I know you already have.
I'm happy to hear that.
I have to say, I have wondered for a long time, maybe this is something you've already explained many times to me, and I'm just a sieve brain, but why do the web apps for Office exist? It's confusing. For instance, I had somebody call who had, was really confused. She thought she bought a perpetual license. Turned out she bought a subscription. And then, I said, and if you don't want to pay that, you could always use the web apps, right? I also mentioned LibreOffice, but you could also use the web apps.
Yeah.
Are the web apps, you have to have a Microsoft account, but you don't have to be paying for Office, right? They're free.
It depends. So there's two stages of this, right? There's the free functionality that anyone with a Microsoft account can access, and then there's paid functionality that you need a Microsoft account
for. Right.
Sorry, a Microsoft 365 account, right? Like a paid subscription. Why do they exist? I mean, I literally just used one of these apps the other day, and it's one of those, you're out in the world, you get an email, hey, this thing is screwed up, could you look at it? You're on your phone, which doesn't have the app installed maybe, or you can access some public computer. So you can log in, do the thing online, don't have to worry about apps, don't have to worry about saving anything locally, and then sign out, and you're good to go. It's also just that there are SKUs of Microsoft 365 on the commercial side. The cheapest one, which is going up $1 per month. I think it must cost like $5 a month. Right now it's going to be $6. Only gives you access to the web apps, right? So the cheapest way to get into Microsoft 365. You don't get the native apps on any platform. You just get it. Well, you probably get it on.
But there's 3. It sounds like there's 3 feature sets. There's the completely free one. There's the paid web one. But is that close to the feature set of the paid Microsoft 365? Not even close.
It's in the middle. It's
in the middle
somewhere.
Okay.
Yeah.
So there's basically 3 fundamental SKUs. Let's just talk about Microsoft Word. Let's just pretend it's Word.
Yep.
Right.
Yep.
So there's 3 kinds of Word. But the simplest one is free to anybody who creates a Microsoft account, and is it WordPad or is it more?
It's
pretty
basic. It's basic, right?
It's WordPad.
It's not even that.
It is, but it's good enough for most people.
Most people
that's
never
true.
use
That
the
is true.
features that are missing. Can you?
Yeah, it's called Word for the web. That's how they
Does it have revision tracking? No.
In the free version, probably not.
Probably
right?
not.
I doubt it.
No, I don't. I don't
Mail
know the
merge.
distinction.
I mean, there are
anymore.
few high-end things that you might not have.
Yeah.
But for
Look,
editing, it's probably the same, right? It's probably fine.
The paid version of Word on the web would be enough for me, right? I think there may be one.
Do you mean the free or the paid?
The paid, because there are a couple of little things that I use. Like I use something called Format Painter all the time in Microsoft Word, right? I don't know.
I
for a
use it
fact
all the
that
time
that's
too.
That may be the one. There's one
It's
little
that
thing.
paintbrush where you can say,
Yeah.
take this format and apply it to this text.
Yep. that may not be the example. Let's just pretend it is. So there's always that one feature, right, that you need. That.
So it is a freemium model. It's really a freemium model.
It is.
Much like a game where, hey, take the taste of this, and then you'll discover, oh, but I really want, more, and then you might pay.
I would like to see the Office web apps become more sophisticated. They don't have to do every single thing that the powerful desktop clients do, but surely they could go a little further and basically be fine for almost anybody.
Right.
And then, of course, I want
Microsoft
them to become PWAs that you can install.
Yeah. Are they not PWAs now?
Not right now. Not fully. They're on this. They're on the way. They have manifests and things, and they're working on it. But you have to kind of get over this hump about where the files are stored and all that kind of stuff. We're probably never. I shouldn't say never, but it's unlikely we're going to see a Word web app installable as a PWA that throws up a file open dialog, opens a file in your file system, loads it into the web browser, you edit it, saves it back to the file system, and it closes, and thus acts exactly like a native app. It's not impossible. In fact, it's possible for them to do this. But I feel like that's going to be the dividing line. Like, they want you to use their online storage. If you use their online storage, it behooves you to pay for it because you only get, 7 gigs for free or whatever it is, or is it 15 now, whatever the figure is. And if, you fill it up with photos from your phone, you fill it up with documents from work. Eventually, you're going to want to pay for Microsoft 365. That's the funnel, right?
Yeah, that's the freemium model, right?
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
Yep.
So, okay. I mean, I guess one issue with a web app is you can't work offline. And I would imagine a lot of people want to work offline.
But that, of course, is possible. And I believe Google Docs does that right now.
Yes,
so
it does.
It's something you could do.
Yeah. It's a very interesting mix. I think for most people, the web apps, as long as you can get online all the time, are sufficient.
I think so too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, look, a lot of people listening to this won't like this little analogy, but if you accept the fact that Windows virtualized in the cloud, whether it's Windows Virtual Desktop or whatever we're calling it, what's the new thing called, Windows 365, is in some way the future of Windows, right? Like the idea that this is a legacy operating system and we really only need this thing because there are certain apps that only run in Windows and thus that's how we do it, or how we're kind of heading toward that, then I feel like the Office web apps are the future of the desktop client because they're by nature cross-platform and it won't matter what people are using.
Right.
They could have an iPad Pro, a Mac, a
what
Linux
do you need
box,
it for? Just use Windows 365.
Yeah. And you're paying for it because it's a big screen.
Right.
And that's ultimately better for Microsoft. And if those apps work great, it's fine for everybody. Who cares?
Yeah.
Right. And Evil John's saying on Discord, he's right. Also, non-office workers, frontline workers, healthcare workers, people who mostly need to consume documents and not edit them. That's who those web apps are for too, right?
Well, think about this past year with COVID and everything. And all these people are working from home. They don't want to give control of their laptop to work, but they do still have to access work stuff. One of the ways you can kind of isolate that stuff is not to use local applications with work documents and some cloud storage. You use web apps. You log in securely to the site, access those documents, you get out, and your computer's still your computer and your work's documents are still safe. And that's one of the roles that they provide.
It's funny because I pay for an Office subscription and I use it fewer than 3 times a year. I probably should just get rid of it.
I'll say I use it every day. But
you do. But there's so many other ways to do those tasks.
I would be happy to do it right from the web if I could. But right now they're just not sophisticated enough. So I'm hoping that changes.
Certainly for writing, I think there's no reason to pay for a word processor.
No. Whenever anyone says to me, should I buy Office? I'm like, even if you're writing, no.
I could see why you'd pay for Excel if you did a lot of financial stuff.
I got the book. I got it. Notepad field guide.
It's short.
No, you don't
but
need
it's
it.
sweet.
I'm telling you, most people who use Word don't really need to do a lot.
I think that's probably
all the
case.
graphics will be ASCII art. It'd be awesome.
Yeah.
I don't mean professional writers.
How about PowerPoint?
I mean normal.
Yeah.
So I think word processing
Well,
is set aside.
actually,
but
PowerPoint is
Excel and PowerPoint seem like if you need those tools, you need those tools.
But it depends.
Right.
See, that's actually, it's interesting you said PowerPoint, because PowerPoint is the thing I just did use on the web because of a work-related thing. I didn't have access to PowerPoint on the computer or whatever, or it doesn't matter why.
It was adequate?
Yes, and for my needs, because all I had to do was go look at a presentation, provide some simple feedback, right?
Yeah.
And that's fine. Remember, Microsoft used to have viewer apps. I think they had them for Word, Excel, and PowerPoint. And PowerPoint was probably the big one because a lot of people just didn't have Office installed, but they still needed to see or even give a presentation, and they could use this app. Those apps don't exist anymore. And one of the reasons they don't exist is because they have the web apps now. And the web apps are free to everybody. And anyone can access that, some amount of functionality. And viewing is one of those things anyone can do. So you don't really need a native viewer app for those things.
It's very interesting.
Yeah.
Very interesting.
It's like the world is changing or something. I don't know.
Well, that's always for me the exercise that's kind of interesting. It's not where we are today, but where we're going. And I mean, it's probably not that useful to everyday users. They want to know what we can do. What can I do right now? But I think for me, because that's pretty straightforward. I'm curious about what this all means for Microsoft, down the road, where they're aiming that area.
You're like the Harry Seldon of personal technology.
Exactly. I'm a psychohistorian trying to say what the future holds. By the way, I'm terrible at it. I've yet to make a good forecast because it's so there's too many variables. It's very unpredictable.
There are. Yep.
Also, bias is a tough word because people take it the wrong way, but we're all biased by our own experiences. And I always use the example of the iPad because by the time the iPad was announced, we had almost 10 years of tablet PCs, and I thought I knew there was everything to know about tablets.
Right.
And
this again, you said.
That was not the case. Yeah,
Been there,
we did this.
done that.
We did this. Yeah.
It wasn't the case. Who'd have thunk it?
No, as it turns out.
Who'd have thunk it? Yeah.
Yeah, that product did okay.
Yeah. Philip Elmer DeWitt asked me to speak to his subscribers on Saturday. And what I didn't know, I launched into a diatribe against Apple. And what I didn't know is they were all, and then they actually stopped me and said, just so you know, everybody here has made a lot of money on Apple stock over the last 30 years. And I said, oh, okay.
It was like the time I made fun of SharePoint users at the SharePoint conference.
Or the time I said SEO is snake oil at the SEO conference. It's that kind of thing. And you and I, Paul, have kind of stumbled into that more than once, I suspect. But
is this mic on?
If you have been making money on Apple all these years, you're very preconditioned. You looked at the iPad and said, "Oh yeah, that's the real tablet. Forget all these previous ones." So it's more than just experience. It's just your point of view.
Your worldview has been tunneled down a certain direction.
Yeah, exactly. And I think all of us in technology are a little bit like that. I struggle to kind of be platform agnostic and kind of try to get it because I think it's the only way to really see what's going on and but it's hard because you don't get the deep level of expertise. That's why I listen very closely to Windows Weekly because that deep level of understanding is kind of you have to be focused on it to really get it. Yeah. Well, anyway,
pay attention to what's going on.
Pay attention. That's what you do
outside of your own world. I mean, I think that's important in all of life.
Yes.
Except about Apple, for me, I can't pay attention.
Can't do it.
That,
just
anything else.
They should invite you to be on that show.
If that guy had said to you, everyone in the audience has made a lot of money supporting Apple products, I would have respected it slightly more than they made a lot of money on Apple stock. I mean,
well, that's what I pointed out. I said, look, I don't own any Apple stock. In fact, famously told my father when Steve Jobs died in 2011, get out of Apple. It's over.
Oh, wow.
Right.
Wow.
And by the way, he didn't. They said, why did your dad ignore you? And I said, because he's smarter than I am. He stayed in Apple. So obviously I'm the wrong guy to ask on stock picks. But I don't hate Apple. My justification then was I don't hate Apple. I own everything. Look, I own it all. I'm on an iPad right now. I'm wearing these stupid AirPod Max. I am a sucker for Apple. Those are the sucker headphones. So Yeah, there's two ways you can be all in on Apple. That's for sure. Or Windows or anything else. Yeah.
Or anything.
Or
yeah.
anything. Hey,
Yeah, we're not allowed to own stock in Microsoft.
Yeah, they thought that was weird. They said, "Is that archaic?"
Yeah, that's pretty weird.
I said, "Yeah, it's
Yeah.
probably archaic. I doubt. You know,
Sure.
if you, truth is,
Well, that's the difference between journalism and blogging.
Yeah.
I hate to say it, Paul, but it's the difference between the past and the future.
Okay. So,
Pretty
well,
much.
that's
Yeah.
those are the same,
Yeah.
different ways of saying the same thing.
Yeah, pretty much.
I mean, we're just gonna give up, for instance, on our product review shows because we can't compete against some YouTuber who's
Right.
very likely not only got stock in the company but has taken products from and going on junkets with and all that stuff, and nobody cares. Mary Jo, I think that's an honorable
I am
point
the
of view.
end. The end of the.
But we're the end of it.
End of the line on
yeah,
that.
I do
know.
the same thing, and everybody who works here does the same thing. But it's the end of the line for that, and it's clearly. I mean, the market has spoken. They said, "Yeah, we don't care.
Yeah.
Go ahead,
Yep.
get the stock, enjoy."
Wow.
I don't want to have a dog in this hunt at all. It's hard enough not to have prejudices, and preferences. Let me take a break. When we come back, more Windows stuff. Lots more Windows stuff.
Stuffwaffe.
Stuff. We're going to Windows 11. and yes, there'll be a little Xbox segment. And you know what? I think today, listener questions they're already champing at the bit, as they say.
There. Yep.
In the Discord server. Our show today brought to you by Udacity. I say that slowly because it's like Audacity without the A. The audacity of thinking that you deserve a job at Google or Microsoft or Apple or Facebook, companies that are changing the world around us, the world of tech. Maybe you don't even have a computer science degree or a PhD. Maybe you already do, but you still don't have the skills you need to get the job. That's what Udacity is all about. Udacity was created by a Googler with one goal in mind, to give people the skills they need to get the jobs they want at these big companies in big tech. They created these nano degrees in partnership, at first with Google and then with others, degree programs designed to give you the skills to get the jobs because these big companies need people who understand this stuff. And you can get cutting-edge nano degrees in areas, I don't think you can get these anywhere else. Things like AI, deep learning. How about this? I want this nano degree. Flying car and autonomous flight engineer. Not only would you're not competing against a lot of other people. That's going to be a pretty great skill to have. And talk about working on the future. Intro to self-driving cars, machine learning engineer, robotic software engineer. These are all nano degrees. And here's the key. Udacity, to create these courses, partners with the leaders in the industry, Microsoft, Google, IBM, Amazon, and many more. In fact, your instructors will often be team leads from these companies teaching you these skills. If you love learning and you love tech and you always want to know more about tech, this is a great place for you, for all of us, really. Udacity can help you master the latest tech skills and techniques. One of the things I really like about Udacity, I've taken a lot of online courses from a lot of people, including Udacity. Udacity focuses on hands-on. That's really important. You can watch the videos, you can take the quizzes and all that stuff, but you really actually have to lock that skill set in. You can't learn to play the guitar by watching YouTube videos. You have to play. Same thing. So all of Udacity's courses are project-based. They're active learning. They cover the cutting-edge technology, but you test your knowledge with these projects. Now, don't worry, you're not doing it alone. Not only do you have the great instructors, but your homework and projects are reviewed by people qualified in the field. You get human feedback. You get code reviews, something you'll have when you get that job at Google or Microsoft or Amazon. You also get access to mentors 24/7, so you're never on your own. And there's a great community at Udacity. Over 14 million people in over 240 countries use Udacity. That's pretty neat. This is, to me, one of the amazing things about the internet is that you can be anywhere in the world, and you can get the skills you need to get a great job. Frankly, there's probably quite a few of us who should be. According to the World Economic Forum, 75 million current jobs are going to be replaced by automated processes in the next 3 years. 75 million people out of work because of automation in the next 3 years. You might want to think about preparing for the job of the future. Great stuff at Udacity. It's flexible. Of course, they know you've got, you might have a day job. You have to work around your current schedule. You could put in just 5 to 10 hours a week, working at your own pace, any time of the day or night, of course, and graduate in as little as 3 months. Have that nano degree under your belt. They offer flexible payments. You can learn at your own pace and schedule. They have free courses. In fact, a great way to, try out Udacity is take one of the free courses. Udacity is not just for individuals, too. There's Udacity for enterprise. If your team needs to master cutting-edge technologies like data science and AI and cybersecurity, boy, I think every IT team should be an expert in cybersecurity. Udacity for enterprise can upskill your entire workforce with real-world, yes, project-based learning. Check out the enterprise section of Udacity's website today. But I've got a pretty good deal for anybody who wants to get a nano degree, 75% off right now. But you have to use the code TWIT75, TWIT75 at udacity.com/twit. And this is a limited time offer. So you really want to go to udacity.com/twit right now. Use the offer code TWIT75. That's a huge savings. Get the in-demand tech skills you need to advance your career. Go to Udacity, UDACITY. Go to udacity.com/twit. 75% on if any program. Use the offer code TWIT75. It's a limited time offer. Don't wait. Udacity.com/twit. Enter the offer code TWIT75. We thank Udacity so much for their support of Windows Weekly. And you support us, too, when you use that offer code, because then you're letting Udacity know you saw it here, and we want them to know that. Again, udacity.com/twit. Use that special URL to browse the catalog, to check it out. And when you're ready to sign up for a program, offer code TWIT75. It really helps us out when you use that. Now back to Windows 11. What would Mary Jo Foley do?
I like this one.
That's our question of the day.
Yep.
So right now, as our listeners and viewers know, I've been going out on a limb, running Windows 11 on one of my machines, been in the dev channel, but Microsoft gave us a little warning recently and said, we're going to move the dev channel to start focusing on features which we may or may never ship. So it's going to become more unstable. So this is me seeing red flashing lights. No. So I moved to the beta channel this week inside of my insider settings just to make sure that I can stay on Windows 11 as it continues to evolve up to the point of RTM and shipping. That's what you need to do. If you want to stay on Windows 11, you need to get out of the dev channel right now and go to beta or release preview.
Okay, what if I never did it? Should I go to beta now and it would get it, or no?
If you go to beta now, you're going to end up in the kind of bleeding edge channel going forward, which will be some features that may make it in someday and some.
But if I go
to
release channel, I won't get anything new. I will
release preview. You'll just get Windows 11 when it's almost ready to roll, right?
Okay.
But beta channel's the best one, I think, for most people who want to continue to watch how Windows 11 evolves.
That's what Mary Jo Foley would do.
That's what I would do. Paul Thurrott, I'm sure, would do something completely different.
Of course he would.
Yeah, I'm staying in the dev channel, but I agree that this is the smarter thing to do, and it's somewhat unique in the Insider program to be able to go back and forth between beta and dev.
Right.
So that was a nice thing for Microsoft to do.
It was very good. Yeah, they sent notes out to people by email who are in the Windows 11 testing group and just said, hey, by the way, if you don't want the instability and you want to stay on Windows 11, get out of the dev channel. So I don't know if anybody...
What if I want more instability? Is that a thing?
I know. If you want more instability, you got to stay in a new Canary channel, right?
Right.
But that's what Canary means.
It is.
Usually,
if you want to be on the most cutting edge channel and you don't care if things work,
you're the canary
work.
in the coal mine. Sometimes canaries pass out and fall off their perch.
Exactly. Now, I saw some reports of people saying they were trying to get out of the dev channel, and when they went to go to the beta channel, the box was grayed out, so they couldn't get out. Did you see that?
Yeah,
I didn't see it personally.
I've experienced. Actually, what is going on here? I don't even have a Windows Insider.
You don't?
thing. No, I do. I'm sorry. They moved the cheese.
You're in your own channel. You have a special channel for yourself.
No, I found it.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. No, I had a similar problem where I had in fact, I did it when I was in Mexico because I wasn't sure about the second computer. So I brought up Windows. I wanted to clean install Windows 11 in a virtual machine. I didn't have the ISOs with me at the time. Now they have a public one, but we'll get to that. And so I installed Windows 10, and then I went to upgrade. I went to go to the Insider program, and the only thing available to me was the release preview channel, which at the time was just for and maybe it's still today. It's just for Windows 10. It's just for like the next version of Windows 10. And I was like, huh. So I looked that up, and it turns out this is a weird bug, and there's a couple of registry changes you can make. So if you're not seeing dev and/or beta channel in Insider settings, you should Google that, because there's a quick thing you can do. You got to make a registry change, reboot, and then they popped up, and that's been working fine for me. So
Good.
Yeah, maybe that's
now if you want to, but if you want to stay on Windows 10 and test 21H2, which is coming out this fall, right? What channel are you supposed to be in? You can't,
so
right?
You can't. So this is listen, no one's going to understand what I'm about to say. This is really confusing.
I'm ready.
If you as an individual right now say, you know what, that is what I want to test. I want to get 21H2.
Right.
You have to enroll a computer that doesn't meet the Windows 11 hardware requirements. No, you can't. I'm sorry. You can't even do that now. You can't. Because right now, if you just join the Insider program now and your machine doesn't meet the requirements, Microsoft actually will let you in. The only people who are testing that are people who are already in the Insider program, were in release preview, and their hardware didn't meet the requirements. Those people, that small subset, were pushed into 21H2 testing. So right now, release preview is two different things, depending on where your system requirements are. So, yeah, you can't. I don't believe anyone new can get into that right now.
Okay,
and maybe that changes, but that's my understanding.
Okay, got it.
That's good to know, because I'm new and I
taking that out of the back of my mind like a like a pro in an oyster or something.
Yeah. So if you don't know where you are, look up your Windows Insider app on Windows 11. Type in Windows Insider settings. Yep. Make sure you're where you want to be. If you're not, try to fix it.
This is one update I'm really kind of very content not to be testing.
Yeah.
To be
Which
honest.
one? 21H2?
Just no, 11. 21H2.
11?
Yeah.
Even 21H2, I don't want to.
Yeah.
I'm just,
There's nothing there. I mean, there's nothing to test.
That's the kind of the point to me, even with 11, is I don't really need, there's nothing I need to see.
You need to see more rounded corners.
No,
That's what you need to see.
I don't.
But Leo, newer is always better. I don't understand your opinion on this.
No, I know. I'm unique in that regard. That's usually the case. I want the latest. I don't care what it is. I don't care how I get it. I want it.
Yeah. The reason I decided to test it was I wanted to see how different 10 was from 11, because my readers are IT pros and they're people, and I wanted to see how much people were going to freak out when they saw that change.
Well, by the way, how much do you think they are going to freak out? I mean, what's your opinion on this?
I didn't freak out at all, which is a good indicator that most people will be able to figure it out. But I've heard from a lot of IT pros saying, nope, this is going to be a horrible time with my help desk. People are going to, especially the new start menu, when they start seeing, they won't see the apps off to the side anymore. And I'm like, oh boy, okay.
I think this is going to impact power users more than regular users.
Yeah.
I think
because you can't do the right click on the taskbar, right?
Yeah, there's all kinds of stuff like that. Yep.
Right.
Yep. I think that's going to be, but again, as I said, probably a few weeks ago, those are the people who can work around those things, right? So
I know.
It's better
and they want to learn new things.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah. No,
There's
people
some big
in
stuff happening
companies.
in this release, but.
Yeah, no, there are people in companies who have to use whatever their company rolls out to them, right? And you don't have a choice. You just one day you come in and you got Windows 11 instead of 10. Right. And, some companies will just be like, suck it up. You're going to just start using this and you'll figure it out. Other ones will be like, here's the help desk number. And if you can't find your start menu or your documents or figure out why things are centered and it's bothering you, then call us, right? Actually, don't call us.
Don't call
Actually,
us.
don't call us. But, here's the number to some other help desk at another company. Call them.
Call them.
Yep.
Here's Paul Thurrott's number. Call that guy.
Well, here's Leo's radio dial-in.
Yeah, that's where they call. Are you kidding? That's exactly
know.
where they call.
I know. Yeah. Yeah. So we think the release will come out around October sometime, probably like Patch Tuesday or the week after or whatever, right? So that's when you're going to start hearing from people as it starts rolling.
Cool. Cool.
Yeah. But meanwhile, there was a new build of Windows 11 last week for people who are testing it in the beta and dev channels. And there weren't a lot of changes. There were a bunch of fixes. Again, another one heavy on the fixes. You can now start trying out the new Windows clock. And this is where that focus sessions feature that Panos was teasing comes into play. So there's a way in this clock to set aside blocks of time from your to-do list or in other ways. And if you want, sync it up with Spotify so that you can carve out for yourself a little time when you can be very focused and do whatever you want to do in your focus session, right? That's in the new Windows 11 clock that's rolling out now alongside the new snipping tool, the new calculator, and the mail and calendar apps for Windows 11. And we finally have the first official ISOs for Windows 11, which is good.
Not for the latest build, curiously enough. But
no, not for the latest build. Yeah, I know. Yeah, so if you want to see what the setup out of the box experience is like, and the new Get Started app that people will see when they first load Windows 11, you can test that by clean installing it with the ISO.
And I got to say,
that,
rounded
Paul?
rectangles. Rounded rectangles on calculator is a game changer. I'm just throwing it out there.
Okay, good to know. And the mail and calendar app. And the mail and calendar app, right?
That one I've not tried, but yeah.
Yeah. But what about installing from the ISO? Have you done that? You must have, right?
I have. But I see, I'd done this before. We had gotten ISOs illicitly in the past.
Nice.
So I've seen the new setup. It's basically the same as it is with Windows 10, except it's a different style finally. Like the Windows 10 setup is, I think they've had this since Vista maybe. It's basically hasn't really evolved. So now it has a new visual style, which is very pleasant and calm and all that. And they've brought back the ability to name your PC during setup, which is one of those things I used to have to work around in the book because they took it away before. So, yeah, that's nice.
Yeah. And no more Cortana yelling things out when you set the machine
best.
up, right?
I got to talk a little bit about that during my during my tip today because
nice.
It's nice to see that go away.
Yeah. So that's all to say, really, about last week's build. I bet there'll be another build tomorrow because they're now doing them on Thursday for some reason.
And maybe there'll be two different builds or something.
I know.
I don't know if they do a different dev and a beta or if they just wait on beta. I guess we'll see.
I know. Also, I don't know when we'll see the next release of 21H2, but there could be one of that too.
You know what gets me so excited?
What?
The updated Paint app.
Right.
I knew it.
And I'm glad you mentioned that because it also gets me excited. So Mary Jo's famous for using Notepad. I feel like I'm that person for Paint.
Yeah, you are.
Yeah. I use Paint every single day, every day. And Panos Paint, like he did previously for the snipping tool, put a little quickie video kind of previewing what we'll probably maybe get Thursday or, in some coming week, this new version of Paint. And of course, as a Paint savant of sorts, I picked through this thing like a frame at a time, like there was the Zapruder film, to see if there was any difference at all between the new Paint app and the old. And it has a new visual style, of course. It looks like that kind of WinUI front end we've been talking about. I don't actually know how they build it, but it looks like the same app, but they just WinUI'd it or whatever. So it's prettier. But it is literally 100% identical functionally to the version of Paint that I currently have pinned to my taskbar. So it's exactly the same. It just looks better. So everything's in the same place. Actually, you know what? I shouldn't say it's 100%. There's one thing missing. I got to bring this up. And I'm sorry that's so bright, but Paint today doesn't support dark mode, and the new one does. But Paint today has a file menu, which looks like a tab, which is one of those weird things they do in ribbons, which I don't like, but whatever. That file menu was missing from the video, so I'm not sure how they're going to handle file functions. Maybe it's under some other thing we don't know about yet, but that's the one difference, actually. But it's prettier. Prettier.
Okay, I've been searching for Panos Paint's beautiful redesigned Paint app.
Yeah.
And here's the video, ladies and gentlemen.
Oh, I'm sorry. There is a sorry. There is a file. There's a file. There's no home, is
what's new in Windows. Apparently, Windows has a drum team. Happy birthday!
Gotta get some cowbell going in there.
Natural pencil. Ding, 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 ding. So that went so fast. Only Paul Thurrott even had any idea what that meant.
So my guess is they combined file and home into one thing. So the default view, which used to be home, is now it's just there. That's my guess. But I don't know how they're doing it because I don't know how you get back to home if you choose view.
Right. Okay.
We'll see.
These little videos are so funny. So does he put out like one every day or one a week?
No, it's been like once a week for the past couple of weeks.
Yeah.
Not even. Maybe once every 2 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
So funny. Okay. I guess I've put it off as long as I can.
You did. Yeah. You did a good job.
It's time for the Xbox segment featuring a young Paul Thurrott.
There's a lot to talk about today.
All right, I'm going to go make some soup then. Have fun.
Me too.
It's all yours, Paul.
So Mary Jo previously announced that Halo Infinite will be launching on December 8th. That is true. That's official. There's also some new hardware coming. There's going to be a special edition version of both the Xbox Series X and Xbox Series S for Halo Infinite, with the consoles, kind of styled like in a kind of a military green, future color. So there's some hardware coming as well, including RAM and storage storage upgrades from Seagate. So you can access all that stuff. So that's all coming December 8th. Also coming this holiday season is Xbox Cloud Gaming is launching, as we always expected it would, on the Xbox Series X, S, and on Xbox One this holiday season. We don't know exactly when, but if you're an Xbox Insider in the Alpha Ring, I think it's called, you should have access to that now. Microsoft is kind of positioning this as a way to preview a game. You can play it live while it's downloading, I guess, but I don't see why Xbox gamers wouldn't just play some games this way. We have limited amounts of storage, et cetera, et cetera. So, we'll see what's going on with that. Microsoft also announced a new wired Xbox headset. You may recall that, I don't remember what it was, a few months back, 2-3 months ago, they announced and released a wireless version. That one, I think, cost $99.99. The wired headset, which wires into the controller, is just $59.99, and it's one of those over-the-ear can-style green accented Xbox-y kind of thing. So, and it supports all of the kind of modern audio technologies like Windows Sonic, Dolby Atmos, and DTS headphone. So that should be out in September, late September. And then I mentioned the Halo Infinite thing. There's some other news, which is not so good. Halo Infinite, it will ship on December 8th, but it will not include two key features at launch. Co-op single player, which is that a version of the game where either over the internet or on a split screen, I think up to 4 players, you can complete the campaign or play parts of the campaign with other people, will come later, as will Forge. And Forge debuted with Halo 3, and there's been a version of Forge in each version of Halo since. It is a way for gamers to take existing levels of multiplayer maps and edit them or create brand new levels now. And there will be a version of Forge for Halo Infinite, but that's not coming until sometime in the 2022 timeframe when they're going to ship all new multiplayer maps and various DLCs and so forth. And so that will be part of that, as will be co-op single player.
Should I pre-order the special Halo Xbox? You think I might be a way to get it?
Do you think that's a way to get it?
Yeah.
Maybe. Yeah. You could try.
They're taking.
I don't know why they would
pre-orders.
have more of these. Yeah, it's worth trying. Sure.
It's $549 for Series X. That's list, right? Or close to, right?
I think the normal X is $499, right?
Okay, so good.
And
I want it to be a little more expensive.
Yeah, to keep people away, right?
Yeah, even though I don't have to buy it because it's on
Right.
it's on the Game Pass. So
Right. Yeah, but it's better. If you can install it locally, it's going to be a better experience. There was a Gamescom event. Actually, it's still ongoing, I guess. It's a virtual event. Microsoft did I think they said it was going to be 90 minutes. I thought it was closer to 60, but they did a flyby of a bunch of new games that are coming out this holiday season. Nothing that hasn't been announced before. And curiously enough, they never talked about Halo, which I think we can all agree is the most anticipated title. So they showed off the next Forza title. That's how they ended it. They talked about some updates coming to Flight Simulator, where it's going to get a new world update that's focused on Germany. I think it's Basel, Switzerland, and someplace in Austria. And that's where they give the updated visuals and all that kind of stuff. They're going to add a racing module where you can actually race other flyers in the game. And they're going to start adding new aircraft, starting with the 1930s German aircraft, whose name I don't remember. I'm not like a plane guy. But I think they're kind of setting this thing up for, a coming year. They're going to do to this what they're going to do to Halo, what they've done for, Gears 5 or Sea of Thieves. There's going to be updates, and hopefully most of those will be free. I got a weird little hint just reading the PR for the Flight Simulator updates. I could picture some of the expansion stuff being paid. And certainly you could kind of imagine like there's going to be a store where you can buy like planes and stuff. Like would be understandable, I guess, but we'll see what happens there. And then these next two aren't specifically Xbox, or they're not specific to Xbox, but they're still interesting to gaming in general. Ahead of Gamescom, id Software, which is owned by Bethesda, which is owned by Microsoft, go ahead and figure that one out, announced Quake, the original Quake from 1996, Quake 2, and Quake 3 Arena are now all available on Game Pass, but not everywhere. So OG Quake is available on PC and console, and I'm going to talk about that a little bit more in a moment. Quake 2 and Quake 3 are PC games that are only available on Xbox Game Pass for PC.
this item is out of stock. Halo Infinite Limited Edition bundle. Please remove.
Also, yeah, it's not the right date either.
It says November 15th, but the game is December. I'm very confused. December 8th.
Oh, that's interesting. Well, maybe that is the right date, and you get the game later or something, or maybe I don't know.
It's ready. It's
who knows?
It's Halo Infinite ready.
Yeah.
Oh, well. Not available.
I'm going to talk about OG Quake in my app pick because that is my app pick, but you'll see why later. But I'd like to see Quake 2 and Quake 3 Arena come to Xbox. I'd also like to see Quake 4, which no one's talking about, come to Xbox. That's the one Quake game, if I'm not, maybe not the only one, but the only one I'm aware of that was on Xbox. In fact, when the Xbox 360 launched in 2005, Quake 4 was one of the launch titles, and Quake 4 is a sequel to Quake 2. If you don't understand Quake, I'm not even going to try to explain this stuff. It's kind of strange how these games work, but Quake. Honestly, all these games, but Quake 1 and Quake 2 in particular are, and were at the time, in the late 1990s, like technological tour de forces. And these games are all $9.99 each on Xbox if you want to buy them. So that's cool. I just wish the other two were on the console. And also announced last Thursday, the day I was flying home, so I didn't get to watch it live, is the next Call of Duty, which is returning to World War II. I feel like we've refought this battle more than the History Channel or this war. But, I'm a sucker, so of course I'm going to play it like an idiot. But anyway, Call of Duty Vanguard will be out in November. Cross-platform, multiple editions, seasons passes, blah, blah, blah. You get the idea. There's a lot of stuff going on there. So that wasn't too bad. I mean, Mary Jo totally stole my thunder, but it's fine.
Oh, sorry. What?
You didn't even know. You didn't know the date. Come on.
I did know the date. I didn't know it was official today, but that's fine.
Yeah.
Well,
that's
you
why
go.
I'm here.
They work
I'm here to
together
help.
so beautifully.
We do.
You didn't mention that Doom is now available
because I'm not next to her.
Doom is now available on the Nintendo Switch, so I'm excited about that.
Wow.
Wow.
Actually, Quake, the original Quake, is also on the Switch. And by the way, all the stuff I'm going to talk about during the app pick is available on the Switch if that's how you want to play it.
If that's how you want to play it.
Yeah, if that's how you know. That's
well, okay. I can't get a Series X. I've been trying.
Yep.
Yeah.
I've been trying. Would you like to take some questions from the audience? Sure. All right. Let me push the buttons on the magic twanger and raise your hands.
Your technology terms don't make sense to me.
Raise your hands, kids, if you want to ask a question of Paul and Mary Jo. But meanwhile, as we're preparing for that, I would like to mention our sponsor, PlexTrack. These guys are the purple teaming platform. Pretty amazing, actually. Security management platform that brings you better reports, deeper assessments, and more insights. If you're working on a red team, or just, in security at your company, and you spend hours and hours reporting security issues and feel like it's getting you nowhere, if you're buried in data, but you still can't get a full picture of your security posture so you can prioritize the remediation effort, I got a great solution for you. PlexTrack, PLEXTRAC, empowers continuous assessment, automated workflow, and effective collaboration between teams to help cybersecurity professionals do more in less time. You can create assessment reports in half the time thanks to these easy-to-use templates. You don't spend all your time hunched over the keyboard trying to get all this data in there. You could centralize your remediation efforts across all your scans, all your assessments, all your audits through powerful risk visualizations. I tell you, the visualization makes such a difference in being able to grasp what's going on. You've got scanner and ticketing integrations. You've got enhanced analytics to effectively communicate risks in real time. Whether you're a red or a blue team, there's a PlexTrack for every security professional to save time and get the right work done. Red team members, let me talk to you. You can import your findings from numerous vulnerability scanners, pretty much all of them, automatically. Again, less typing, right? Include screenshots, include videos, and it formats automatically. You can create customized templates, export to Word with one click. You streamline the whole report writing process so you can deliver better reports and you can do it faster with less work on your part. That's awesome. That's for the red team. Now, blue teams, this is going to help your remediation as well. You can customize internal and external assessment questionnaires. You can synchronize your findings with task management tools like Jira Cloud. You can assign findings to team members and track status over time. And you can provide attestation of security posture with robust analytics, too. The corner offices will appreciate that. You want to learn more? In-person events are back. PlexTrack team is going to be in Vegas for Hacker Summer Camp 2021. If you're headed to Las Vegas for Black Hat and DEF CON, give a shout out to PlexTrack on social because let them know you'll be there so you can get together with them. Connect with PlexTrack at their hospitality suite and open house. See how PlexTrack fits your unique use case, or simply challenge your skills with their fun Purple Teaming CTF. Play a little capture the flag. Try PlexTrack free for 1 month. See how it can change your life as a security professional. I know so many people now have adopted this platform and are so happy. PlexTrack.com/twit. At least claim your free month. Give it a shot. PLEXTRAC, there's no K, .com/twit. Do I have to spell twit? TWIT. We thank PlexTrack so much for supporting us. We thank you for supporting us by going to that address so they know you saw it here. PlexTrack.com/twit, the purple teaming platform. All right, we've got some hands up. Hands up. Kev and Joel, and let me bring them up onto the stage. Push all the buttons. Get that twanger twanging. Let's start with you, Kev Brewer. Good to talk to you again. Hi, Kev.
Good to see you all. Question or opinion, in a sense. Windows 11 point releases, or are we going to continue with the convoluted 21, 22 version, what have you? Do you think they will go from 11.1 and 11.2 when they do their main releases?
I don't know what they're going to do.
No one knows.
I think they're going to stick to H1, H2 releases and map to Windows 10 release because they're already doing it, and it just makes sense to Well, actually, of course, there'll only be one a year.
You're only going to have
right?
one,
So,
one a year, right?
yeah.
So,
But I think we're just going to see an H2 release.
yeah.
And that's
Yeah.
going to be how they denote them.
Friendly Manitoba says, please do 11.1, 11.2, like
Yeah.
a sane organization.
I know.
I don't know if you've met Microsoft.
Exactly.
My little friend Microsoft here.
Yeah.
Why don't they do that? Is there some, I mean, is this some sort of computer science philosophy behind this?
The opportunity to do it if you want to make a separation between 10 and 11. You'd have thought.
You'd have thought. That was the opportunity.
There's also a question from Not in Orbit in Discord who can't actually speak to you, but he's asking Paul about the cost benefit of moving from Xbox Live Gold to Game Pass. He wants to know what Game Pass has, and is he losing anything if he drops gold?
That's a good question, actually.
Yeah. So there are 3 levels of Game Pass. The version for console and the version for PC are both $9.99 a month. So you can kind of do the math on that. It's basically full retail price, about twice as expensive as Xbox Live Gold. And then there's the $14.99 version, which is Ultimate, that gives you both access to, well, it gives you 3 things. It gives you access to Game Pass on console and PC, but it also gives you access to cloud gaming, which is the former xCloud, which is the ability to stream games. So what you're getting essentially is that collection. Microsoft still says 100 plus. It's going to be way more than 100 plus because now it's got EA Play, all the Bethesda stuff. They've added some new stuff at Gamescom they announced as well. So 100, we'll call it hundreds of games that you get to, if you're on the lower tiers, download to a console or PC, play them normally as if you own them, and then remove them when you're done.
I'll tell you the distinction in my mind. If you're it's really the kind of gamer you are. Like Paul, you'll just play Call of Duty till the end of time.
Right.
But I'm not that kind of gamer. I like to try different. I don't get very far in a lot of games. I like to try them, and then maybe I'll find a game I want to play all the way through. So the pass makes a lot of sense for me because I can sample more games that way.
If it's successful over time, it will be because it becomes a no-brainer to some large segment of the population, much like Office or Microsoft 365 did in the productivity space. So I think it's there for a lot of people already. And then the cloud gaming stuff, just puts it over the top because then it opens up game streaming to your phone, your tablet, your TV screen eventually, your Windows PC.
That's a third kind of person who just has to be gaming no matter what's going on.
All the time. Yeah,
all
exactly.
The time. Everywhere.
I'm standing in line at Target. I don't care if I'm going to be here for 2 minutes. I'm going to
Halo
play
Infinite.
whatever the game is.
I'm going to do it.
Yeah. So my expectation, by the way, is that eventually Xbox Live Gold goes away, and that you'll have to get some kind of a Game Pass subscription if you want to do that stuff. Hopefully they'll just get rid of some. Why would anyone even have Xbox Live Gold? For me, it's because you get multiplayer, and they could just get rid of that. I mean, I don't even understand the distinction, frankly, but I think they're going to try to push people toward the more expensive Game Pass subscriptions over time.
Reverb Mike in the IRC says that Ultimate is the Always Be Gaming package.
Yes.
ABG.
Yeah. Yep.
Always Be Gaming. Kev, thank you so much for helping Norbert and for joining us as always.
Likewise.
Appreciate it. Moving on to Joe from SD, San Diego or South Dakota. Could be one or the other.
Unfortunately, San Diego.
No, very fortunately. Much warmer in San Diego. Hi, Joe.
Hey, Leo, Paul, Mary Jo. Long time, first time, back from the ZDNet days.
Welcome.
Thank you. I wanted to ask Paul a question about Xbox One. So I've been casually looking for a Series X to no avail, like most people. Recently,
like Leo
my games
just did.
Yeah.
Once again, out of stock. Jeez.
Recently, my games with gold expired, and I re-upped for 3 years using prepaid cards. And then I used the ongoing loophole with the 99-cent trial for Xbox Game Pass Ultimate, which automatically upgraded my games to gold to Ultimate Game Pass until August 2024 for 99 cents, which is amazing. And with Xbox announcing that they're going to bring cloud gaming to consoles, I'm wondering, including with the ability for Xbox One consoles to play Series X games, I'm wondering if it's even worth continuing to try and find a Series X and what the purpose of upgrading even is, because it seems to me that the Xbox One X is plenty powerful enough as a thin client to play cloud gaming.
So the target right now for Xbox Cloud Gaming is 1080p at 60 frames a second. And so that might be one reason in the future. So if you have a 4K display and you have an Xbox Series X where it's going to hit 4K as much as possible on the games, you're going to get better quality. And that will matter. Well, that will matter for obvious reasons. But when you think about games like Flight Simulator in particular, or even any modern game, like I'm sure Halo Infinite will probably look a lot better natively on a Series X compared to on an Xbox One over Xbox Game Pass. So it's and by the way, that limit will probably be erased at some point. I'm sure eventually they'll support 4K streaming and all that kind of stuff with a great connection. But you could think of it as an interim solution for now, where you could play games that were natively designed for an Xbox Series X and is streamed from an Xbox Series X on your Xbox One, and possibly get better quality than you would with the Xbox One version of the game, if that makes sense. Or just play games that were designed specifically for Xbox Series X and X, like Flight Simulator, where you can't get that otherwise. So it's just kind of a way to get over that hump for now until, maybe the newer consoles become a bit more available, and there are more new native games that are only for those generations and aren't on Game Pass, perhaps, or whatever. I think it's just going to depend on which games you want to play. Yeah, I can't believe this is going on and on like this. I just, it's amazing to me. But yeah, here we are.
Yeah.
Thank you.
All right. Well, thanks.
All right.
I appreciate the information.
Stay classy, Joe.
All right. You too. Thanks.
Not in Orbit also had a question, which you answered in the Discord chat, but we should give everybody the chance to hear the answer. Not in Orbit says, we're testing Windows Server 2022 right now. Mm-hmm. Looks like they didn't copy the interface changes of Windows 11. Is that in the works, or is that not planned?
Yeah, we don't really know. I'm going to talk a little more about Server 2022 as my enterprise pick. But yeah, Microsoft, so Server 2022 that just came out is built on the Windows 10 code base. It actually has been done for a while, like a number of months. So it was done before Windows 11 was even announced. So I don't know will they someday adopt those UI changes or not? And if they do, when, we don't know. Server team is very close-mouthed, as I'll talk about when I talk about the pick.
Well, also, if you assume, or which seems to be the case, Windows 11 is mostly about UI. UI, right. Who cares on a server platform what the UI looks like? Or do people? I guess they want to look like, they want to be with it, look like everybody else. Yeah,
I think people just want consistency.
Honestly, I turn the GUI off on my server, but I'm running Linux, but I don't even use a GUI.
Yeah.
Who cares?
Yeah.
Just serve.
You were there to serve.
Just
there to serve.
Exactly.
Don't give me Windows. I don't need Windows. Nobody needs Windows. Thank you all for your questions. Those people are all members of Club Twit. We also take questions from IRC as well. By the way, 20 years ago yesterday, since XP went RTM. August, thank you, GM23, for that tidbit. 2001.
Yeah, and that launch was delayed by 9/11.
Yeah, wow.
That's right.
Unfortunately.
And yesterday was the anniversary of Windows 95 launching, right? August 24th.
Yep.
Start me up.
Yep.
Charlie Watts has passed away.
Sad to say.
Yep.
Yeah.
I know.
So he was 60 when that when they sold that song to Microsoft.
Yeah, incredible.
Passed away at the age of 80. It's sad to see, because I thought the Stones would go on forever, right?
Yeah.
Well,
if Keith Richards
they
could
have survived deaths before.
Yes, if Keith
right?
Richards could cheat the Grim Reaper all these years, who would have thought Charlie Watts would be the first to go?
Right. Yeah.
Let us. I was going to do a plug for Club Twit. If you are not a member, this is a great club to join. I was talking to Mitch Waite. He said, "Well, I quit Club Twit." I said, "Mitch, didn't Paul Thurrott make you enough money with his field guide to whatever it was, Delphi 3?" And Mitch said, "Well, there's a problem. I'm driving a Tesla, and you see, the Tesla has this weird media interface. It's not CarPlay. It's not Android Auto. It's its own thing. And he says, and your free, ad-free versions are not available on TuneIn Radio Pro. That's true.
No.
That's true. You need to use a podcast client. Now, I got to point out, you could, Mitch obviously doesn't want to, but you could put, any podcast client on your phone and subscribe to your special ad-free feed and listen to it on your Tesla. But I guess that's too much for Mitch.
Well, too much for Mitch.
It's okay. It's okay. There's no requirement that you become a member.
Oh, man.
We appreciate it, though. That $7 a month gets you ad-free versions of all the shows, audio and video. Again, not on TuneIn, not on Spotify. You have to subscribe in a podcast client using the RSS feed because each member has their own feed, dedicated feed. You also get the Twit Plus feed, which will play anywhere, and that's awesome because that has all the stuff that we don't put into the show. The stuff happens before and after show, and access to our fabulous Discord, where animated GIFs rule. So if you
they do.
Evil Dead reference there.
That's an animated GIF, all right. If you would like to join, please, twit.tv/clubtwit. It really helps us continue to build the network and do more stuff, and we thank you in advance. twit.tv/clubtwit. Now it's time, I believe. We've done everything else. There could be one thing left. The back of the book, as we call it. Paul Thurrott kicked it off with his tip of the week.
Yeah, so as part of the Windows 11 field guide that will eventually appear, one of the things I've been really trying to figure out is what are the new and different keyboard shortcuts in Windows 11, because there are some. And obviously, most of the keyboard shortcuts from previous versions of Windows carry over, and they added a bunch in Windows 10 as well, and those, pretty much carry over, except for the one for Cortana. That one's gone. Anyway, so regarding keyboard shortcuts, I think a lot of people might think of these as kind of like power user features or something. And, granted, I spend a lot of time with my hands on the keyboard. I'm a writer, right? So I want to keep my hands on the keyboard, and keyboard shortcuts allow me to do that. But there's kind of a side angle to this, which I wrote in a post the other day, and this is something I also document in the Windows 10 field guide today, which is Windows 10 and Windows 11 both come with a bunch of stuff cluttering up the taskbar. And if you know the keyboard shortcuts for those things, you can just get rid of the icons and save space, right? So there are going to be features like you never want to use. Like if for some reason, you're never going to use widgets, right? You get rid of the widgets button, that's fine. But even if you want to use widgets, if you want more room for the applications to be pinned that you use the most often, you can just get rid of that icon because there is a new keyboard shortcut that launches the widgets interface, right? So the handful that I am aware of that are new or changed in Windows 11 include like snap layouts, right? So you know that if you move the mouse cursor over the maximize or restore window button in the upper right corner, you get that little slide down pane that has the different snap layouts. You can actually bring that up with a keyboard as well. With whatever is, window is in the front or is focused, type Windows key plus Z. Will bring up that little menu. You don't have to use the mouse. Windows key plus A in Windows 10 brings up the Action Center. In Windows 11, that brings up the quick settings, which means you can't see notifications anymore, which is one of those things that was in the Action Center in Windows 10, but there's a new keyboard shortcut for that, which is Windows key plus N. And then with regards to the buttons in the taskbar, that chat icon for the Teams, simple interface, the chat window is Windows key plus C. That used to be a Cortana shortcut. And then widgets is Windows key plus W. That will bring up widgets if you want that thing for some reason, and God help you if you do. Anyway, there might be more. I'm going to keep looking into these things. Most of the feedback I've gotten so far from people has been a collection of keyboard shortcuts that already exist. I'm looking for new ones, but that's probably most of them. I think those are the big ones. So it's just good to know.
I think you should make a little chart with Windows keyboard shortcuts and sell it with your next field guide, all laminated.
Laminated.
Like a quick, what if it was formed to go around your keyboard?
Oh, even better.
Like you used to have for WordPerfect, probably had one of these back in the day. Or
no, because you're just rattling these off, and I'm like, how do you even remember all these shortcuts?
Well, yeah. I mean,
You know what, Paul? You're ready for Emacs. I think it's time to bring it on.
Well, Emacs, most of those commands are like multi-key keyboard shortcuts, right? Like,
and
that's a whole new level.
They call some of the keys the meta keys, and then there's a super key, and
right.
So it's often
it's always
control,
nice when the
super
name doesn't
meta.
map to the thing on your keyboard. Right.
Those are, you know what? That's when you really know that you've made it, is when you're never taking your hands off the Emacs keyboard. You're just typing away.
I have looked at Emacs many times over the years. I certainly think about it. I like text editors.
I love it, but I feel like it's an infinite depth to it that you just never get to all of it.
Right.
But it's fun.
I assume today, because it's the 21st century, there's like a markdown plugin for Emacs, or
there is. Yeah, I use it all the time. So here's your Emacs tip of the day.
Here we go. Yep.
Nice.
There is a markdown mode, so that's easy. And every time you load an MD file, it just goes into that. It'll do all the formatting, all the stuff you'd expect. It's nice. And then I use a built-in Emacs functionality called Tramp, which allows you to open a file on a remote server if SSH is enabled. So I can use Tramp with Emacs on my computer, any of my computers, log into my server here at work, modify because my blog's in Markdown, modify it, save it, compile it.
It's live.
It's live. And it's a really nice, it's probably the best workflow I've found yet for a blog. So.
Most people just use OneDrive, but I hear you.
Emacs is one of those things where you don't, if you really care about productivity, okay, you spend some time learning it, but it's more like an adventure game to me. It's like it just so sometimes
you're always unlocking secrets. You know,
sometimes they say it's a great operating system. Too bad it lacks a good editor. Everything's in eLisp. It's its own Lisp dialect, and so it's very programmable. Every key is basically a little program. It's fun. So if you're not satisfied with a number of key commands, you can add your own.
I bought a book about Unix in the late 1990s, probably, that came with a barf bag in the back, like you see in airplanes.
No,
sometimes you have like a disc instead of a disc.
Instead of
it
a
had
disc,
like a barf bag.
You got
It was the Unix barf bag.
That's hysterical.
Yeah.
App pick of the week. You've kind of teased it a little bit. Yeah.
So I mentioned Quake. Quake is, if you use an Xbox, it's on PC too, obviously, but and on Switch and elsewhere, I'm sure. But this is like the best $10 you're ever going to spend. Like this game is as good today as it was in 1996, 25 years ago, and it's actually better, right? So not only do you get you get the whole. So by the way, I've already finished the single player experience, the original game. So this is like 4 episodes of 6 or 8 levels each, and secret levels and all that stuff. So I've actually already done this. Like I have probably completed this game 20 times, and talk about honest memories. As every level that comes up, I'm like, yep, I know exactly where everything is. I remember this, and it was awesome just going through that. But there's so much more to it. In 1997, its partners, one of them was Raven. I always forget the other one. I think they're gone now, but released 2 expansion packs for Quake. And those are included in the game. That's all part of it. There were 2 more expansion packs released in later years. The most recent is from I believe the company's called Machine Games. It's the company behind the most recent Wolfenstein games. They actually, at some point in the past 5-ish years, went back and created a whole new expansion pack for Quake, a 20-year-old game at the time, and that's included. It includes Quake 64, which is a unique version of Quake that was released on the Nintendo 64. That has colored lighting and different levels and all that kind of stuff.
I really
want
that. This.
There's multiplayer. There's single-player co-op. It supports mods, so people can keep expanding it. Back in the day, Quake, when it originally shipped, by the way, an MS-DOS game in 1996.
Heavily modded. People would just...
heavily modded.
Yeah.
It included a multiplayer that a lot of people didn't like. There was some kind of a latency weirdness issue. So sometime in the first year, it released something called Quake World, which allowed you to, every player could have costumes. I remember my friend and I used to run around like clowns, literally dressed as clowns.
Killer
and
clowns.
We would say stuff like "Everyone loves a clown," and But there were these mods that would have, and it was called RuneQuake was our favorite one, where you could have like death spots that you could put on transportation pads, so when someone transported to that place, they would immediately explode. And anyway, everything that was possible and more 25 years ago is now in this little game. It is 1.5 gigabytes. It downloads in the time it takes you to blink. Compared to like a 150 gigabyte modern game, it's hilarious. And it has all this stuff in it. And it's awesome. It's just awesome. And like I said, I wish Quake 2 and 3 were on the console. I would absolutely go through both of those as well.
I bet you they're planning at some point.
I think so. Quake 2 was a single-end multiplayer experience. Quake 3 Arena was just multiplayer. Well, actually, the single player was multiplayer with bots. And then, of course, you could play online. And you would, it's just awesome. Those were they're all awesome. But anyway, each of these things are $10. $10 for the original version of Quake with all that stuff. You'll play it. It's just great. I mean, it's excellent. Also, it's so fast that when I go back to Call of Duty, I feel like I'm walking through sludge. I can't get this guy to move quick enough. It's like he is carrying a backpack full of stuff. Like he's just slogging along really slow. Quake, you're like just flying around it's awesome. It's such a good game.
They've talked about the things Carmack did to get that incredible performance out of that, and it's really black magic. I mean, this guy was a genius. Yeah,
this guy did stuff on a PC, which was a nothing computer with no accelerated graphics. Yeah. That was impossible to do on an Amiga at the time. Yeah. Which had multi-processing and
very
graphics
tricksy stuff. Yeah.
Oh, just amazing.
Really impressive. Amazing. Yeah.
This was a lot of people talk like there's no plot. This it's a little scattered because of development changes over time. But this is the most finely tuned game.
Oh, now you got me.
I think that's ever been made.
And you said it's on the Switch too?
Yep. It has the original soundtrack from Trent Reznor from Nine Inch Nails. Amazing. The nail boxes in the game say N-I-N because of Nine Inch Nails, right there, nails. Yeah. Awesome. It's awesome.
Nice. I mean, but it would look, or would it look better on an Xbox? I mean, maybe not because it would.
Yeah,
so they upgraded
as it is today. Yeah, as it is today. You have to go into the settings and bump up every single graphics quality thing. And you get to kind of the quality of maybe GL Quake or WinQuake or whatever back in the day. There is going to be a massive 4K upgrade coming for Xbox Series X and S soon that will put this thing even over the top from where it is now. But honestly, I think it looks great. I love this game. It's amazing.
Can't wait.
It's amazing that this game is still so good today.
Yeah. Might be going home tonight and playing.
Oh, and I have one more thing.
Oh, yes.
It's a really quickie.
Yes.
Really quickie thing. I use a product called Momentum, which is a browser add-in that replaces the new tab experience. It works across the browsers I've used. Chromium browsers, of course, Chrome, Edge, etc. It works on Firefox. It probably works on Safari too. I don't use Safari, but
it does have a Safari version, I think. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I love it. It's paid. Momentum Plus is the name of the product. And it's like $5 a month or $40 if you pay for a year, which is what I do. So that immediately crosses off a lot of people from the list. I get it. But it's beautiful photography, a little weather thing. You get a little menu, which replaces the bookmark bar for me. Bookmark bar, which I love. While I was in Mexico, like just a few days before I came home, I noticed this little new feature up in the corner called Soundscapes. And I thought, I'll look at this later. And I checked this thing out, and what it is sort of what it sounds like. It gives you these soundscapes you can play in the background while you're working. So they have like campfire, beach, train, rainfall, forest, cafe, all the typical stuff you would expect. It's. I used to actually pay a web service. I wish I could remember the name of this that did this. You could have like a cafe. You could increase the number of customers and background noise. You could have it raining in the background if you wanted. So it's kind of like that. But now it's just a feature. And it's the type of thing, like you talk about like all this focus stuff they're putting in like Windows and Mac and the mobile OSs and everything. This is, or the focus assist feature we talked about in part of the clock app in Windows 11 that lets you play a playlist from Spotify. This is kind of, I don't really like to have music in the background when I'm trying to focus, but honestly, the sound of rain is kind of awesome. Or the train thing where it's just like, that kind of thing, like you're on the tracks, I know it sounds like a little thing, but I love this thing. Like I love it. This is the type of thing I do use when I'm working, like a little bit of background, like white noise almost. It's nice. So anyway, check that out.
Momentum.
That sounds interesting.
And you could do it free, right? And then
I do pay for the Momentum Plus. Yeah.
I'm playing with it right now. It's beautiful.
I just love it. I mean, when you look at like the garbage new tab experience in Edge, which is like all MSN, stupid stories about celebrities and stuff. It's like, I just want something better than that.
All right, that concludes Paul's segment.
Childhood reminiscences.
Glad you
I am
said
a child.
That.
The Paul Thurrott story.
Yeah, Paul Thurrott story.
No, you know what's funny? When I hear Paul talking about stuff he did as a kid with his friends, like dressing up like a clown and Quake, I'm like,
no, Mary Jo, I was a 35-year-old adult at that time.
Oh, okay, good. Because I'm thinking to myself, you know what? It's kind of surprising we're friends.
Yeah, we wouldn't have gotten along when we were younger.
No.
He's a man-child.
Yeah,
basically.
Mary Jo and I have arrived at the same place, but we've come from very different directions.
Yeah.
Actually, I enjoyed. That's one of the reasons I enjoyed your post, and your blog post on the Thurrott Premium about how you got to be a writer and all that. It's fascinating.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah, very interesting. Yeah. Mary Jo Foley has, as always, a fantastic enterprise pick of the week.
Okay, it's no Quake OG, but
obviously.
But this is a pretty big deal for our listeners. Windows Server 2022 is actually rolling out right now. This is such a weird rollout of this product. So last week during Windows Weekly, I saw our friend Taro Elhonen tweeting, "Hey, Windows Server 2022 is starting to roll out." And I'm like, wait, what? Like, just Microsoft has no blog post about it, nothing. Like, it's just rolling out. And how he found this was great. They updated a lifecycle documentation page for the server, and the clock started ticking for support last week on August 18th. And so if you go to that page now, it says extended support will end for this product October 14th, 2031. It's now available in the Volume Licensing Center. I think that's part of Microsoft 365 and not the regular Volume Licensing Service Center for some reason. And it also is available on Azure. This is a long-term servicing channel release of Server. So this is a big deal. The last one was 2019, Windows Server 2019. I have to think Microsoft is going to do a more formal release of this at some point, but maybe everybody's on vacation because it's August, so they decided to wait. There's a whole list of features they've already gone public with. They've also said publicly that going forward, starting with this release, they're only going to be doing a on-premises server release every 2 to 3 years. There's no more semi-annual channel. And every one of these will be a long-term servicing release with 10 years of support. There's an event that Microsoft's holding virtually on September 16th, the Windows Server Summit, where they say this will be their first public in-depth demo of Windows Server 2022. But it's weird. The product's already rolling out, and they've got this event coming like in another whole month from now. So if you are somebody who's been waiting for Server, it's there, and you can just go look in your usual places for it. You'll find it, and you can get it now.
Nice. It's kind of an interesting way to launch a new product.
It is. I know they want people to go with Azure over Server, but they call themselves the hybrid cloud vendor. So let people get what they want, right?
Yeah.
They're still paying you, Microsoft.
Yeah. Yeah. And code name of the week.
So Paul doesn't really like me encroaching on his gaming domain. But today's code name pick is a gaming-related one. The code name is Pinebrook. And I've heard that Pinebrook is the actual code name for Xbox Console Cloud Gaming that was announced this week. How do I know this? I have some Xbox codename fairies who periodically put some pixie dust on me and let me know some Xbox codenames. Why is it Pinebrook? That I have no idea. I was trying to find synergies with past Xbox codenames, and I couldn't really find anything. I don't know if Paul has any theories about Pinebrook or anybody in the chat room or the
Actually,
Discord.
so I saw that in the notes, and I thought that is so far afield from the original cloud gaming codename, which was xCloud, which just kind of was, made sense or whatever. I don't know. It looks like it's part of a series, right, of names.
Yeah. Yeah.
Almost like an Intel processor, like there'll be like Aspen Brook and, other brooks or something.
That's my thinking usually is it's a place name in some way, right? Because that's what they typically do, geographic place name. But I don't know. I just thought it was kind of interesting that is the code name. And maybe one day we'll learn why. And the reason it's good to know code names is once you know one and you figure out the theme, you can find more. And then you can find unannounced products, and then you can spoil their plans, and it's really awesome. It's great.
And that was a little bit of insight into Mary Jo's psyche right there.
It's not a clown.
And then the phone rings, and someone's really mad at you. And they say, Mary Jo, could you maybe hold off on that?
No.
And she says, no, I can't.
No, they never ask me that because they know my answer is always no. So, yeah.
Let's do a beer, kids.
Yeah. Okay. So, there are people, including me, who sometimes pick a beer because of its name or its label. And you're like, I don't know anything about this, but I kind of like the name or the label.
Yeah.
That is how I picked this beer pick. It's called Dogs and Boats. Who doesn't like dogs and boats? It's like, come on.
Together at last.
I know, right?
Two great tastes in one.
So, there's a brewery in Stonington, Connecticut called Beard, BEER''D Brewing. And they make this beer called Dogs and Boats. And, of course, the label has a dog and a boat. And I was like, you know what? It's so cute. It's going to be good. And it was. It's a West Coast style double IPA, so kind of piney and resiny. 9.1%, not a light beer, kind of a big beer, but very good. Citra hops, Mosaic hops. I was like, oh, I never heard of this brewery. I'm glad I tried it out because of the label. Now, Sriracha was not that happy when I brought this beer home, I have to admit, because of the name. So then I also brought home the complimentary beer from Finback Brewing, which is called Cat Hand. Another double IPA. Has a cat paw on the label. So cute. Another big 9% beer, but you know what? Sometimes you just have to go with a good name and a good label. And that was the theme of my beer picks this week.
Cats, dogs, and boats.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Never the twain shall meet.
Give one of these to your cat, it'll fall off the boat.
Yeah.
That's cute. Lisa wants Sriracha. She loves Sriracha. I gotta tell you.
I just
she want a
passed
dog?
my.
She can have my dog.
She does, actually.
I just passed the 4-year mark.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, well, so is Sriracha.
4 years.
Know.
Well, that's what I told her. I said, well, Sriracha is want to turn off the sound and disconnect the PC. And
he's a little devil. He is.
You should have named him Loki.
Loki.
My sister calls him Devil Boy.
Wow.
For a good reason.
Wow. Wow.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, that's the end of this thing. That's all I can say. Thank you, Paul Thurrott. Thank you, Mary Jo Foley. You'll find Mary Jo's blog at allaboutmicrosoft.com. That's her ZDNet blog covering all aspects of Windows, especially the enterprise side. Paul Thurrott writes about Windows and other stuff at thurrott.com, THURROTT.com. And his field guide to Windows 10 is available at leanpub.com. I guess that's all she wrote for this episode, sad to say. Join us every Tuesday when we do the show. Wednesday at 11 a.m. Pacific, 2 p.m. Eastern, 1800 UTC. You can watch us do it live at twit.tv/live. If you're watching live, chat live, either in the IRC. That's open to all at irc.twit.tv. Club Twit members can chat on our Discord as well. We have a Windows Weekly channel there that's open all the time. Let's see, what else? After the fact, on-demand versions of the show are available at our website, twit.tv/WW. There's a full-time, 24/7 YouTube channel, all Windows Weekly, all the time. And, of course, you can subscribe in your favorite podcast client. Just search for Windows Weekly, or you can get the link from our website as well. If you have a podcaster like Google's or Apple's or Pocket Cast that supports reviews, please leave us a 5-star review. Let the world know of your love for Paul and Mary Jo and Windows Weekly. Thanks, Paul. Thanks, Mary Jo. Stay cool, and we'll see you next week on Windows Weekly. Bye-bye. Stay cool.
You know what's fun? Android. You know what's even more fun, though? All About Android. That's my show, Jason Howell, along with my co-hosts Ron Richards, Florence Ion, and we welcome guests on each and every week from throughout the Android ecosystem, developers, Googlers, journalists, people who are all geeked out about the Android operating system. We tell you everything you need to know. twit.tv/AAA every Tuesday. We'll see you there.